We now move to the keynote address, which will set the tone for the discussion over the next 2 days. Here to make a presentation on the conference theme, Anchored in Action, Standardizing and Advancing Blue Carbon Solutions, is a global leader in environmental policy, ecosystem restoration, and climate action. Mr. Carlos Correa, Mangrove Breakthrough Ambassador and former Minister of Environment, Colombia. Carlos Eduardo Correa Escaf is currently a Senior Fellow at Conservation International and Ambassador of the Mangrove Breakthrough, as well as representative in Colombia of the Adam Smith Center. He served as Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development of Colombia from October 2020 to August 2022, leading the country's environmental and sustainability agenda. During his tenure, he promoted the approval of Colombia's climate action law, the creation of the Colombian Carbon Neutrality Program, the development of the Green Taxonomy, and the update of the Green Protocol in collaboration with the country's main financial institutions. He also advanced the designation of more than 34% of Colombia's marine and terrestrial areas as protected, oversaw the implementation of the 180 Million Trees program, and supported the restoration of 300,000 hectares. In addition, he led the 1 million corals for Colombia. He only deals in millions, it seems. And the launch of the Global Biodiversities Project in cooperation with the World Economic Forum. Between 2012 and 2016, he served as mayor of Monteria, where he was recognized for implementing innovative initiatives in urban sustainability, territorial planning, and modernization of local public administration. He also served as co-chair of the Experts Task Force on Nature Positive Cities of the World Economic Forum until June 2025. His experience focuses on environmental public policy, climate change, conservation, ecosystem restoration, urban sustainability, and local leadership. And I have to say no more for why he is our featured speaker today. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Carlos Correa.
Well, thank you very much. My real experience is being with people on the territory. That's what I love most. Hearing and listening to people, because people on the territory really knows how and what to do. So I'm very honored to be here today, my first time in Trinidad. I see a lot of Spanish people, my colleagues from Colombia, Capitan Arias and the Invemar team. I see people from Spain, also, well, Trinidad and Tobago, of course, Korea, DEFRA, very good ally and friend of Colombia. We have made many things together. So thank you for inviting me, the IDB, Tatiana and the team, Julian, the university, all of you. The next 2 days, we are going to be here among experts. So I'm here today just to make some reflections and a call of action too. Do you know, well, the people from Trinidad might know, but how many hectares of mangroves does Trinidad and Tobago has? How many? Okay, we'd like to know. About 8,000. Okay, good. What about all over the world? How many hectares? Copy? 15 million. 15 million hectares of mangroves all over the world. And what if our best life insurance is in a policy by nature itself? And I would like to talk a little bit more about this, and then blue carbon, because blue carbon is a consequence of conservation and restoration. So Hurricane Iota, did you listen anything about Hurricane Iota in Colombia in 2020? Providencia, San Andres y Providencia, very close, in the Caribbean. I was just talking to someone that I'm coming from Bogota, and we are so close from Trinidad, but so far I had to go to Miami and then to come to Trinidad, and we are very close to Venezuela and Colombia. So we are all Caribbeans. And well, definitely it was a very hard moment, Hurricane Iota. Have you ever received a call at 2 a.m. in the morning? Who has? 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, it was scared. Huh? It was like, oh, what happened? So I did too. And how can I play this video? Please.
Hablando de un deterioro de
La depresión se está desplazando.
Me temo que va a ser
hablando de un deterioro de cerca del 98% de la infraestructura de la isla de Providencia.
El huracán Iota desapareció casas, las borró del mapa, barrios enteros.
Los ecosistemas han sido afectados, el bosque seco tropical, los corales y los manglares. Ahora tenemos un gran reto, reconstruir la isla, reconstruir estos ecosistemas de la mano con las comunidades.
It was my call at 2 a.m. And Invemar was there because it was a very hard time, Colombia had never had a hurricane before, never, ever. And in 2020, we have the first one. And there's still some people that doesn't believe in climate change. Then in Providencia, it's a very small island on the Caribbean, the Colombian Caribbean coast. And after the hurricane, we had a very, big damage. If you see, all of us, we were wearing masks. It was during COVID. It was so difficult to get there at that time. And nearly 2,000 homes were destroyed. 70% of the mangroves in Providencia and Santa Catalina were affected. 90% of the tropical dry forest was destroyed. 95% of the beaches were left devastated, and around 60% of the coral reefs were affected too. So everyone was so sad. Our first concern was how many people died, because we didn't have any communication with the island. So we were worried about the people. And thank God, we're not damaged. I mean, there was 3 people died because of different issues, but I mean, it was a miracle. No one else died, but 90% of the ecosystem were affected. So when you go to the island, everyone goes, the health minister, we were in COVID, infrastructure, energy, but no one goes to see what happened to the mangroves or the trees. So we got there, we launched a huge operation, the Black Crab operation, with all the environmental institutes from Colombia, and then start acting. And when we got there, I met this guy, Big Boy. They call him Big Boy. He's about 210, I don't know. Well, you can see. And Big Boy, he was a basketball player. And he got injured when he was young, and he had to stay in the island. And I remember Big Boy so much because he told me the real heroes of the Iota were the mangroves. There were the wall that protected us during the hurricane. And if you see, all the infrastructure that is behind the mangrove is completely up, recovered. So, Big Boy, he said the heroes of the island were the mangroves. And then, we know we are paying for reconstruction. How much does it cost? Have you ever had a hurricane here in Trinidad? You never had? Oh, thank God. So, don't wait until we pay for reconstruction. I think we should be investing in protection in that natural insurance. And you have 8,000 hectares of mangroves here. We have to take care of them. And not only in Trinidad and Tobago, all the Caribbean. My first call to action is we need to work together, all the Caribbean countries, to protect our biggest ecosystems, the heroes. And we need science, we need policy, we need private sector, and of course, we need local communities. Local communities. And why mangroves? You know, the superpower of mangroves, though we have all over the planet 50 million hectares of mangroves. It's a very small ecosystem. You know, always that I talk to people, I ask the same question. Do you think that 50 million hectares of mangrove is a lot or not too much? No, it's huge. It's not. I mean, the Amazonas state in Colombia is almost 15 million hectares. And there's no one in this planet, I think, that hasn't seen a tree. I mean, when you go out of your house, you see a plant, but not the mangroves. And we have 50 million hectares of mangroves, but discontinued hectares. They're not together. Who's the first country in the world with mangroves? Indonesia. 3.5 million. They have almost 25% of the mangroves. But guess what? 16,000 islands. 16,000 islands in Indonesia has 25% of the mangroves. But then you go to Brazil, that is the second country in the world. They have almost 2 million, 1.8 million. But the state of Pará has 80% of the mangroves of the country. Continue mangrove on the coastal areas. So almost 50 million hectares across 117 countries. Mangrove deliver outsized benefits for climate, nature, and people. So they help in climate mitigation. They store the equivalent of 22 gigatons of CO2, among the most carbon-dense ecosystem on Earth. And I know that you are the experts here in blue carbon, so you know that a mangrove ecosystem or a blue carbon ecosystems can capture at least 5 times more than a tropical forest tree, and can storage almost 8 to 10 times into the soil. So climate mitigation, coastal resilience, reduce waves by up 60% within 100 meters of shore, protecting communities from storm and flooding. Well, Big Boy said it, not me. He did it, he saw it, and he's alive because of that. Food security and livelihoods support the production of 1.4 trillion fish and shellfish each year, sustain the livelihoods of 4.1 million small-scale fishers globally, and then more than 50%, Capitan Francisco, more than 50% of the biodiversity in the oceans is produced in the mangroves ecosystems, right? The blue ecosystems. More than 50% of the biodiversity. So that's why it's so connected with food security also. Then, mangroves are rapidly declining due to human activities, including shrimp farming, palm oil expansion, infrastructure, deforestation, and pollution. So those are the drivers of deforestation. 20% of the mangrove reserves were lost between 1980 and 2005, with nearly 50% lost since 1950. So we have 15 million hectares, and in the last 30 years, we have lost almost 1.1 million. And if you see out of that 1.1 million, only we can restore 800,000, because the others are already with hotels, or maybe ports, or maybe urbanization, or maybe palm, or maybe another agricultural activity. And the science is clear. We must halt human-driven loss, restore half or recent declines, double protection of remaining mangroves, and scale sustainable finance. So we need money, huh? So mangroves are key to build resilient communities and economies. And here are all the sectors related to mangroves. Because, you know, when you think about deforestation of these ecosystems, you always think about human deforestation, people cutting trees. But it's not only people cutting trees. There are some other sectors that are doing unsustainable activities like fisheries, aquaculture, transport, shipping, and tourism, that indirectly or directly are deforesting this ecosystem. So that's why today we are not only talking about blue carbon and about the mangroves ecosystems. We're talking about sectors, we're talking about public policy, we're talking about private, we're talking about communities, and we are talking about the financial sector. So we had a very good cooperation with the UK government when I was a minister. And, well, you helped us a lot from DEFRA and the government. All these programs, not only in the Amazon, but also in the Caribbean, were with your support. And that's why it's so important, the cooperation to achieve these goals. In 2022, during the COP at Sharm el-Sheikh, there was launched a coalition, the Mangrove Breakthrough, under the framework of the ocean breakthroughs. The first one was the Coral Breakthrough. I don't know if you have heard about the Coral Breakthrough. Then in 2022, in Sharm el-Sheikh, the Mangrove Breakthrough was launched. Why? Because there was different organizations and people, science, NGOs, private sector, they were working together to see how to protect the 15 million hectares of mangrove that we have left. And basically, the Mangrove Breakthrough works in 4 principles. Halt loss, we need to stop deforestation. So the Mangrove Breakthrough is working to halt loss of mangroves. Double protection. Actually, 40% of the mangroves are in protected areas. So the Mangrove Breakthrough challenge and goal is to double that protection to 80% by 2030. And then restore half. I just said that we only can restore 800,000 hectares of mangroves. So our goal in the Mangrove Breakthrough is to restore 400,000 hectares by 2030. But then we need money, we need funds, we need finance. So we need sustainable long-term financing, and we need $4 billion by 2030. So do you think 4 billion is a lot or not too much? What do you think? 4 billion. Okay. You know, the Paris Agreement said in 2015 that the commitment with climate change was $100 billion each year And now, in Baku, 2 years ago, they said, hey, it's not enough. We need 300 billion. And the mangroves are only asking for 4 billion by 2030. That's 0.3% of the commitment. So is it a lot? Okay, it's not too much. I mean, when you say like 4 billion, whoa, how am I going to get that? And that's why we are working in finance and structuring a catalyzed fund that I'm going to talk a little bit more about. Then, when they launched that initiative in 2022, we only had science, universities, scientists, NGOs, private sector like Besosurfon, HSBC, Berkeley's Bank, Salesforce, and then we had some local communities and associations, and we didn't have any governments at that time. So we started, I mean, if we want a political level, we need to work with governments, definitely. And not only with national governments, but with local governments, subnational governments. Not only the presidents and ministers, but also the governors, the mayors, and the local communities. And now, in 2026, we already have 48 national and subnational governments that have committed to protect mangroves with these 4 principles. And the last one was Indonesia. Just 1 month ago in Abu Dhabi, they signed this, commitment. And not only thinking about blue carbon. Blue carbon is very important because it's the economy. If you don't have funding, financing, carbon, it's going to be difficult to conserve, right? So it's not only about carbon, it's about blended finance. We need carbon income, but we need also philanthropic income, and we need the multilaterals, and we need governments, and we need financing, and we need financial institutions doing all this work. And then we need communities. I was surprised when I saw this number in a conference 3 weeks ago. Do you know how much of the funds goes to the community? When I said the funds, I'm talking about the GCF, the Green Climate Fund. When you put there $100 million, do you know how much goes to the local community? Give me a number. You said 5. Oh, 12. I mean, 5 and 12 is the same. It's nothing. And I think that, and I'm so happy to hear that there's the Innovation Institute from the university, because we need a lot of innovation to do this. We need that money to go to the community as fast as possible to take care of the ecosystems and the biodiversity. So that's a call to action today and one reflection to think about. So we have 48 governments, more than 200 NGOs. So the university, welcome to the Mangrove Breakthrough, please. We need to work together, but also the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And what we are doing is working in 3 pillars: transformative collaboration, science-based and data-driven tools. And here, we are talking about not only identifying the projects, building a pipeline, but also using new technologies for this. I mean, when we were in 2020, and we launched about 3 expeditions with the INVEMAR, it was an amazing work, because when we started protecting marine areas 30 years ago, we didn't have any technology tool to do this. But now, we have more than 20,000 microsatellites there. And we have programs talking about MRV with technology. And we have artificial intelligence, so we should be faster now. How technology is going to help us to MRV as soon as possible. because we are in 2026, 4 years, we only have 4 years to achieve the goals of 2030. 4 years, and we're not getting it. But we have time, we have technology, we have the money, we have the people, we have the science. Now we have to work together, okay? And then from challenges to impact, we need policy. It's very important, the policy making and the political will to do this from government. In Colombia in 2015, the Congress signed a law for the carbon tax almost 10 years ago. So it developed a lot the carbon markets, the voluntary carbon markets in Colombia. So that's a good point to start. And now we have a very strong policy for carbon, for voluntary carbon. Now we need to go into the regulatory markets as soon as possible too. And then we need a pipeline. You know, sometimes there's the money. You say, we need money, but please raise your hand if you have a project to finance now. Oh, one, good. Okay, I have $100 million here, 100. Is there any project to finance $100 million? Is there one? Okay, we need a pipeline of projects. It's urgently to have projects to get the money. It's not to get the money to structure a project. So we're not talking in the same language. The banks, the multilaterals, the community, the private sector, and the organizations. We need a pipeline of projects as soon as possible, urgently, to get the money, because the IDB, Tatiana and Julian, you have a lot of money. You're rich. Everyone goes to the IDB and to the multilateral banks to ask for money, no? They don't? Please. We have 2 days. They have a lot of money. But if you don't have projects, don't go there. So, market standard through financial institution, capacity building, and mangrove finance, how to guide, we are developing shared KPIs. Why share KPIs? Because when you go to the financial sector, they don't know what a blue ecosystem or a blue carbon. I'm not talking about multilateral. I'm talking about commercial banks. If you go there, they're talking about blue carbon, biodiversity, biodiversity credits. They are not experts in this. And if you come and start talking about bonds, issue a bond and blended finance to the scientific community, maybe they don't know, because it's not the same language. We need to bring them together in the same table and learn. We need a lot of education to start talking about the same issues and getting the money to preserve and conserve the ecosystems. And then the access to finance. We need the vehicle. How are we going to get the money? I mean, we have it now. I have a project. I have the money. And now how am I going to bring that money down to the general? How I'm going to make that? So we need, I need to issue a bond, or I need an impact fund to do it. 1 minute. No. I have 40. Okay, I'm gonna go very fast in these 5 minutes. The journey are enabled that what we are building now a fund, a catalyzing fund to bring money in the next years. Our challenge is to have $50 to $70 million catalytic finance and technical assistance to unlock the $4 billion by 2030. So we need government, mangrove, the painted business. That's why we are bringing our KPIs to the other sectors. So I'm going to the tourism or to the shipping sector business. and tell them, why don't you put some KPIs in your matter about mangroves? And then the multilateral can give you special rate of interest. Then expected impact in 1 to 2 years, in 2 years, 3 years, and 4 to 6 years, at least 1 billion in new mangrove positive transactions across blue bond, resilient-linked bonds, and insurance products. Then, because I don't have too much time, but I want you to see this very short video about local communities and about project that Conservation International, the NGO, is working on in Bogota. It's a very good example of a best practice in blue carbon in the world. It's a VERA certified project, the first one in the world, and in the MAR is leading that project with Conservation International. So I want you to watch Ignacia de la Rosa, what she said. Please.
Bien, bien, bien.
One of Ignacia's challenges is trying to explain the complexities of the carbon market. Because, let's face it, it isn't easy to grasp for any of us.
Son los bonos de carbono son intangibles porque ellos no se ven. Como preguntó como el Cumbele, el viejito de San Bernardo. Se preguntó, ¿y en qué sacos vamos a recoger ese carbón? Por eso era que Cumbele los quería recoger, los bonos de carbono, en unos sacos, para salirlos a vender, quemar todo el bosque de manglar y recogerlo en unos sacos. Y que las comunidades vengan a recibir un aporte. Pero que nosotros tenemos que tener claro que lo más importante aquí es el manglar. Entonces nosotros no podemos vender el manglar hoy y nos gastamos la plata y nos comemos todo, y mañana las nuevas generaciones quedan sin patrimonio. Exacto, ese es el mensaje.
That's the message from Ignacia. She's teaching the community about blue carbon. Did you see that? That old guy said, we're going to be needing a lot of bags and such to store the carbon. Well, he was going to burn the forest. Huh? So that's what we need, to have a very simple message. So that's a Vida Manglar project. You're welcome to come whenever you can and want. And in the MAR, we'll be happy to receive you there, and Conservation International. So just to finish, because I had some other slides, then after the hurricane, we launched different projects, 1 million coral for Colombia. It was an amazing moment because the community engaged, really engaged with all the restoration, the corals, the ecosystem, the mangroves, the tropical forest. They received pay for environmental services at that time. So now they know that they need to protect because it's the biggest thing that they have to survive. And I had a video there, but we don't have the time. Then we protected, we declare 37% of our protected areas. And then to finish, just the last one, just to close. And just the last slide, please. Yeah, it's because it's about blue carbons. I need to close, to do my closing remarks in blue carbon. So just the last one. Okay, so thank you very much. As I told you before, I'm here just to give you
a reflection about the call to action. Is I know we are going to be talking about science, we're going to be talking about finance, we are going to be talking not only about mangroves, we are going to be talking about wetlands, about seagrass, about corals, about the power of the blue ecosystems to capture and store carbon. So after tomorrow, I just pretend to have an outcome out of it. What are we going to do? Because we don't have time. So I don't want you to receive a wake-up call at 2 a.m. in the morning. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Correa. Is it possible for us to get this slide that he was referring to capture the last moments? So while we do that, there's also a QR code that they're going to project at some point for you all to ask any questions to Mr. Correa. Yeah. All right.
I knew we could do it. My dad always told me, insist. So just, I'm just going to read it because we don't have too much time, but financing blue carbon, realism, scale, and options. Carbon markets, opportunity with limits. We have limits. Not 100% of the blue ecosystems are capable of capturing mangroves. There's some old ecosystems, and not all of them can have the power of capturing the carbon. Then high quality blue carbon credits are important, but not a silver bullet. We need all the sectors. We need transversal sectors to work together. Vida Manglar, blended finance model, majority of revenues flow back to communities, not yet profitable at current credit prices. This is common, not an exception. We need to keep working to make it, to make it profitable. Hard constraints, legal clarity on land tenure. It happens in your country, in my country. So we need to work on that. We need policy making, political will, and legal clarity on land tenure, and carbon rights remains a barrier. Technical requirements, MRV, are complex and costly. But now we have technology. We need to be, permanent innovating on this. And a final takeaway, this is not only about carbon, it's about building enabling conditions and working to the local community. So thank you very much for this last one.
Thank you, Mr. Correa. So Carlos did an excellent job of making this an aspirational conference because he's very neatly laid out all the pillars that we need to take us from here to the next step. But at the same time, keeping us grounded by what is happening, what needs to happen. So thank you very much for setting the tone for the next 2 days. So next, we're going to share a QR code for the question and answer session, which I believe might be slightly shorter based on where we are in the agenda. So if we can take about 5-6 questions, maybe. The code will be projected on the screens shortly. Okay, in the meantime, I will ask a question. So, Mr. Correa, we spoke about the fact that in Latin America and the Caribbean, the ecosystems are scattered in many ways, and the countries have various sizes, various health conditions of the mangroves. How do we get in a position to really access these markets in a way that small countries can see the overall benefit versus, let's say, the transaction costs of taking it to the next level? Do you know this?
Well, I think it's a good question. And now if you go to Brazil, Brazil signed as a member of the Mangrove Breakthrough just 4 months ago during COP30, and they have the same concerns, the same ones as Trinidad or Colombia. I mean, being a big country doesn't mean that they are clear how to do it. They need help. So we need in Latin American countries work together hand in hand with science. Universities are, very important here to achieve the goals. But then coalitions like the Mangrove Breakthrough, the Coral Breakthrough, the Seagrass Breakthrough can help to structure a pipeline of projects to have access to the market. When Vida Manglar began, maybe more than 10 years ago, el Capitán Arias and the
Capitán Arias y el equipo de Paula van a hablar un poco más de eso. No sabían cómo iban a vender esos créditos de carbono.
20 or 10 years
Puede ser no más de 10 o 20 años después. Y
4
creo que 3 o 4 años, hace 3 o 4 años, vimos el primer crédito se vendió a como 20, entre 18 y 20 dólares. Ahora está vendiendo a $40.
They're selling at $40.
$40
Very quality
al crédito.
Credit.
So, créditos de calidad.
We gotta have the projects.
Así que hay que contar con los proyectos, es importante.
There's a lack of money.
Pero hay una falta de dinero para estructurar bien los proyectos.
We are,
Ese es el tema.
going around
Estamos
this.
en el mismo
I had the opportunity to be mayor. And I was always asking for money because I didn't have the money to structure projects. So what we're trying to do here in the Mangrove Breakthrough is precisely bring catalytic funds to structure the pipeline. So if any of you, as a government, as a non-profit organization, wants to work on this, we can help. Now, it's not easy. It's not easy. But it's possible. And we just need discipline. And then the market is there. What I think, I don't know if you agree, is that we are not achieving the goals by 2030. So in 2027, I think the market will accelerate and will be demanding a lot of quality, good quality credits. So we need to be ready and we need to be prepared. Because in 2027 to 2035, there will be a lot of demand of good quality credits. So we are on time.
Estamos a tiempo.
Good now? Okay. So do we have any questions in the room? We can take 2 questions before our next presentation. Raise of hands? Yes.
Por favor, con la mano. ¿Qué significa el azul del carbono azul? ¿No se escucha bien? No se escucha bien. No hace uso del micrófono. ¿Cuál es el efecto de los manglares en Indonesia si hay degradación?
Yeah. How are they connected? I mean, it's like when you talk about deforestation in the Amazon region, I mean, you lose balance
de las
all over the
la
world because
Amazonia,
it's the biggest producer of water and air
porque es
and
el
oxygen.
productor más grande del
So
agua,
what happened in
oxígeno.
Indonesia?
Entonces, lo que
Well, I'll
pasa
tell you, I was
en
just talking
Indonesia,
about
yo acabo de
mangroves
mencionar
hold more than
los
50%
manglares
of the
que almacenan más de
biodiversity. So if Indonesia
50%
loses
de la
their
biodiversidad.
mangrove,
Si
we will
Indonesia
be
pierde
having a
sus
big
manglares,
crisis
vamos a
of food
contar con
security
una crisis
and
de
other issues
seguridad
around, you know,
alimentaria
the capability and the
debido
power
a
of
esta,
mangroves.
el poder
But
de
it's
esos
not like
manglares.
what's going to happen in the West.
Pero no es como que
It's
lo que va a pasar en el
a
lado
very
occidente,
vulnerable ecosystem.
porque son
15 million hectares all
ecosistemas
over the world.
vulnerables.
So you will have
50
impact on
millones de
biodiversity,
hectáreas.
also
Va
in
a
capturing
afectar
and mitigation,
biodiversidad,
you know,
va a
and
afectar la
resilience
mitigación y
on the coast of
resiliencia también,
Indonesia.
especialmente en la zona
Now,
costera de
maybe
Indonesia.
someone can help me
Ahora
with
alguien
a
tal
little
vez me
bit
puede
more
ayudar
science about
con
what's
un
going to
poco de
happen
la
in the other
ciencia
side
en
of
cuanto a lo que
the
va a
hemisphere.
pasar en el otro lado del hemisferio.
El capitán, he wants to
Yo creo que el
answer.
capitán sí quisiera responder. Entonces, cuando hablamos de esta biodiversidad, estamos hablando de la región Indo-Pacífico. Entonces, vamos a perder este ecosistema maravilloso. Porque hay otras cosas también involucradas. Hay que pensar también en la vida submarina.
I have a very quick question.
Yo tengo
An
una
item Mills,
pregunta.
Climate Change Division, IDB.
División
And I'm going to ask you the question.
climática de
If a country
si
is
un
not
país
part of the initiative
no es
yet
parte
of
de la
mangrove
iniciativa aún del
breakthrough,
breakthrough,
but may have
pero
some
de
interest,
repente
what
sí
are
esté
the practical
interesado.
steps
¿Cuáles son los
to
pasos
join the
prácticos
initiative
para unirse a la
the
iniciativa?
country? And
país?
two, how
Y
does
dos,
the initiative work with the IDB?
¿cómo es que
If you
la
can
iniciativa
help us
trabaja con
clarify
el BID?
that,
Si lo
how the
puede
IDB
aclarar.
Well,
can
we,
help.
we just need
trabajar
1 minute. I
solamente
mean, if
un
there's a
minuto.
country like
Si un
Trinidad and
país,
Tobago
por
or
ejemplo,
any other
Tobago
country that is
u
not
otro
part, we
país
just need
que
to
no
sign
es
a
parte,
declaration.
solamente hay
and,
que
you know,
firmar
just
una
talk a little bit
declaración.
about
Podemos
what
hablar
do you
un poco
want, what the
acerca de
country
lo que
wants, the
quisiera,
city,
lo que
and
quiere
then
o el país o la
work as a
ciudad, y
partner.
después trabajar como
Coalition. There's
socio.
a couple of multilaterals that
Hay
are
unos
already part of
multilaterales
the
que ya
breakthrough.
forman parte
IDB hasn't
de la
signed yet,
iniciativa
but
Breakthrough.
it's, I
El
mean,
BID ya
you
no
can
ha,
just
aún no han
sit
firmado,
and work
pero podemos
together.
sentarnos y
And if you can
trabajar en
bring
eso.
all the
Y si
Caribbean
pueden traer
countries,
a
it
todos
would
los
be
países caribeños, eso
amazing because,
sería
as I said at the
maravilloso,
beginning, we need
porque
to
como
work
yo he
together.
mencionado,
We
hay
need to
que
think
trabajar
about
juntos, hay
Caribbean.
que pensar
We are
en el Caribe.
going through a very hard
Estamos pasando
geopolitical moment
un momento
all over the
político
world.
muy
Europe,
duro por
Asia,
todo el mundo,
America,
Europa,
Latin
Asia,
America.
América,
So we need to be strong,
América
to be
Latina.
together,
Hay que trabajar de
and
forma
also in the
fuerte, trabajar
conservation
juntos,
and
especialmente
restoration
pensando en la
activities in the
conservación,
environment.
actividades de
You can talk
conservación
to that.
y restauración.
We'll just take
ambiental.
one final question.
Una
Mr.
última
Correa
pregunta,
will
por
be
favor.
around, so if
El
anyone
señor
has
Correa va a estar
questions
aquí
following
por
this
si
last
tengan
question.
I'm going to be in the carnival
Yo-
All right, so yeah, so you can decide to have it
Very disappointed
a
that it's going
beverage
to
or
be
an
on
a
the
panion.
16th.
Yes.
All
All right.
Hi, good
Final
morning.
question.
Talia Mohammed from the Caribbean Philanthropic Alliance. We are one of the first PSOs in the region, Caribbean-based. Our flagship project was called the Caribbean Tree Planting Project, and we had the hardest time to get support from mangrove replanting. As everybody knows in the room, it's very technical to even set mangrove sapling. My question to you is, how do we as a region, Latin America and the Caribbean, help support the barrier to entry? I would say what we have been finding, only 2% of philanthropy goes towards climate change, 2% globally. How do we get funders / the new term investors to actually recognize and understand all the information that you presented today in a way where we could work together in a unified way in advocacy? And I think one of our greatest findings right now is there are systemic issues, and how do we circumvent them or leapfrog over them? And do you think education and advocacy is really the way forward with funders who are kind of difficult bunch to motivate? Is it education?
Yeah.
sería a través
Of
de la
course,
educación.
I
Claro
think
que sí.
education is
Yo creo que la
fundamental to
educación es
achieve the goal.
fundamental
Education
para
and
lograr las
communication.
metas. Educación y
Because, you know, I
comunicación.
used to talk to some
Yo
professors
hablaba
and
con
teachers at my university, and I was
profesores
talking
en
about
mi
these
universidad y yo
issues. And they say, oh, okay, I
hablaba
did
mucho de
that.
esos
Yeah,
temas.
I had a
Así yo
paper
creo
15 years
que
ago. I
yo
said, well, okay, but
hice
no one knew it.
un documento hace 15
But,
años.
well, we didn't have TikTok or Instagram
Pero no
or
había
social
TikTok,
media.
Instagram,
So
ni
now
las redes
we have the
sociales. Y ahora
science,
sí,
we have the
contamos con
information,
la
we
ciencia
have
y
the
la
tools.
información y
We
las
need to
herramientas.
change the
Hay
way
que
that we
cambiar
communicate
la forma de
with a
comunicarse
simple
uno
language
con el otro,
because people
con un
don't
lenguaje
understand what
sencillo,
philanthropy is,
porque a
blended
veces la
finance. So we
gente no
need to
entiende qué
start,
significa filantropía.
trying
Entonces
to
hay que
change the
tratar de
language, and
cambiar el
education is
lenguaje
fundamental.
y
So
por
I'm
eso
worried,
es
because
importante
I
la
think that
educación,
philanthropic funds
porque
are
creo
going to
que
be
esos
decreasing
fondos
in the next
van
years.
a
So we have to
disminuir.
bring
Así
those
que hay
funds now
que
and do
lograr
blended
conseguir esos
pay,
fondos,
because if not,
porque
it's not
si
going to be
no,
possible.
no será
But
posible.
there's a good thing.
Pero es algo
There's
bueno.
private sector,
Tenemos el sector privado
and trying to be part of it.
que
That's why
será parte de
policy
eso. Por
is
eso
so
la
important.
política es tan importante.
Government
Con los
making
gobiernos
good
que
policy
formulan buenas
to
políticas
bring
para
the
así
investors, the
atraer a
private
los
and the
inversores,
NGOs and the
los
communities
ONGs,
to
las
the ground.
comunidades,
Yeah, but
para
definitely
involucrar a
education.
todos. Pero sí, la educación es importante.
All right. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
The carnival is on the 16th
Y el carnaval es el
of
16,
February.
¿cierto?
I don't think
Ese es el mes
you're going to
presente.
stay. Maybe a
Y
couple of
si
people
se van a
here.
quedar, yo creo que algunos de
Unfortunately,
aquí.
next year.
Por
maybe.
desgracia no sería el caso mío, pero ojalá el apetito.